chance that he can get 50-plus yards and then lose this game and lose it by margin. Travis Etienne is the key for me tonight. If you want to take Jacksonville, he has to perform tonight, and he should be the bell cow, which means 15-plus carries, which means he should be in the 50s, win or lose tonight for me, for the Jags.
It's the early line with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Carver and Lisi.
Not only that, but what happened? I heard Roy from Nebraska wanted to call in last night.
I'm not sure what that is.
I'm Roy
from
Nebraska.
What does it matter if I know it's you?
Because then you prepare yourself. When you think it's Roy from Nebraska.
Prepare myself.
Yeah.
Prepare myself for what?
For the rant that I'm going to club you with.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Weekdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Days are getting cooler.
The shadows are getting longer.
You know what that means? It's football weather. So bundle up and keep it here for all the latest strategies and gridiron information. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Please welcome.
It's the opening kickoff with Carver and Lisi.
Here we go, Carver and Lisi with you. SportsGrid Radio, SiriusXM, Channel 159. Great to have you with us on a Tuesday night on the grid. 844-843-6879 is the number. Very busy night. Tons of baseball action, significant baseball action too, as we now have less than a week to go in the regular season. Actually, I would have to say this time next week on a Tuesday night, serious October baseball. We'll have playoff baseball with the wild card rounds being underway. So we have a lot of baseball to do. We have a ton of football to do, of course, as well, as we are now out of week 3 into week 4. We'll talk about last night, everything from the weekend, and start getting you ready as Georgia's Cowboys head to MetLife. So back-to-back Thursday nights out in Jersey. Jets last week beating up the Patriots. We'll see what the Giants can do against the Cowboys to start week number 4 in the NFL. Mike Carver here with you. And, of course, it's Tuesday. Sans Joe, as I actually don't think that Joe is out looking for college coaches this weekend. And there were a few that did him wrong on Saturday. But I'm sure you all saw him jumping around like a maniac with Donnie and Kevin on Monday night. He hit some massive parlay with the McLaurin touchdown to end that Cincinnati-Washington game. So Joe's probably out joyriding tonight. So instead, as always, gentleman George Kurtz is here with us on a Tuesday. Hi, George. How are you?
How am I? I guess it depends on what sport you want to talk about. Football, I'm not so good. Baseball, pretty good. Hockey, we get some hockey tonight, by the way. Islanders play the Rangers, so that's intriguing as well here. So
I have already seen the first. It's an annual rite of passage, George. As hockey begins, we already have cheap hits I'm seeing as Mayfield laid out Philip Hedl at the start of this preseason game. Hedl had to be carried off. helped off of the ice, but he came back, so enough. Everybody, already we want to send Scott Mayfield packing after the first period of the second preseason game. Enough,
No
George.
penalty
Let's
on
go.
Mayfield, boys and girls. It wasn't a
It was
cheap
a
hit. It was
clean
a
hit.
fine hit. All right,
Clean
clean hit.
Nothing
No one wants to
wrong
see
with
hitting
it.
anymore. I mean, it's really what it is. Because as soon as Mayfield did the hit, of course, somebody had to go after him. Then Mayfield beat him up too. So
Wow.
it is what it is. But it's a frustrating thing in hockey. Any kind of clean hits, you're still gonna have to get into a fight. It's just kind of stupid here. But listen, I actually expected more. I thought there'd be more fights tonight. I got the game going here. I want to see fight night at the Garden.
I mean, it's preseason. How much can you really get in with that? How much fighting can we do in a preseason game? I guess if you got some guys trying to make the team, that's how Rempe,
where
of
it
course,
is.
makes.
Come on, that was what's great about pre. That's why I would go to a preseason game back in the day, because you want to see the eighth right wing from a team just fight everybody to try and make this. I mean, fighting was more prevalent back then. It isn't now, so you're not going to see as much of it.
No, now it is very frowned upon, George, say. We will talk plenty of football tonight, of course. I'm very happy with the way the Bills destroyed the Jaguars last night. Washington, very impressive. Bengals 0-3. What's going to happen with them? I remember last Tuesday I said to George, we need a bounce back from the Cowboys at home. Didn't get it. I guess, the fourth quarter, at least they showed you some life, but the game was a little too far out of reach.
Tease. Ultimate tease.
Tease for that. Hey, if you
I was happy when they were down 28-3. It was 28-3. It was over.
If you had Dallas in a teaser, it ended up being a good fourth quarter for you, as you had them getting 7.5. But still, we will discuss all the football. George, though, right now, baseball live for us here on CNL, and some very significant games, as we know. The Yankees and the Orioles are in the Bronx. Yankees can wrap up the AL East tonight. Orioles are up 1-0, top of the fourth. In that one, of course, Clark Schmidt tonight and the Dean Kramer going there. We have other significant games. The Mets and the Braves, probably the biggest of them all here tonight, George. 1-0 Atlanta leads, bottom of the third, with Ozuna up right now against Severino. Schwellenbach's going for the Braves. And you know me with the travel, George. I always get crazy about this stuff and travels and schedules and other things. They have got a big problem in Atlanta the next couple days. And that is that storm that's coming up through the Gulf, going to cross through Florida probably at some point. And where is that going to land it, George, for 48 hours? Probably right around the Atlanta area. And this is it. I mean, there's 5 days left in the regular season, and you can see it now, George. We have a scenario where the Mets might have to make a return trip to Atlanta on Monday, which is very possible. They came into this, George, thinking 2 out of 3, we could sew up a spot, have maybe a little stress-free weekend in Milwaukee. But now, with this, if this weather does what they're saying it's going to do, they might not play either of these games, George. If I'm the Mets, I'm hoping I get tomorrow in, because Thursday looks worse. And at least if you get 2 of the 3, there's a better chance you won't need Monday. But if you don't play either of them, George, Monday's going to look very possible with the Mets and the Braves.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how we all know baseball does not want to play extra games. Right, they don't want to play on Monday, so they'll do everything they can to get these games in. But if you're getting a cane or what's close to it, you're not going to have much of an option here. Right, you don't have much wiggle room here as it goes here. I thought about this. If baseball was truly worried about it, maybe you push up the series a day. You could have played last night. Right, I mean, both teams were off last night. Right, so they must not be terribly worried about it, or they think they can get in. There's a window, but that may be wishful thinking here. I mean, Braves are winning now 2-0 here. I think Chris Sale is going to Washington. The Braves want Sale to go tomorrow. That's just Cy Young award. I don't want to say likely, but probable in the National League.
He's going to win.
You win these first 2 games, put a lot of pressure on the Mets for Game 3, no matter when it is. But you don't want to lose Sale in this series.
They have Sale and Fried the next 2 days. They have their 2 best pitchers going in the second and third game of this series. I hope it gets in, George, because it just becomes so unfair. Let's say that spot still is up for grabs. Then you have the winner of that game Monday, maybe having to fly cross country to play the Padres Tuesday night. It just becomes such a mess logistically for baseball. I saw some Met people, I think it was even Howie Rose, said they should go and fly to Milwaukee early, bring the Braves with them because the Brewers are in Pittsburgh, and play a doubleheader in Milwaukee on Thursday, and bring the Braves
I'm sure
back
Harry
to
would
Milwaukee.
like that. Why play in Atlanta?
Well, I'm sure
Yeah,
Atlanta would love that too, right, George? I'm sure Atlanta would love that idea to go play 2 home games in an empty stadium with their playoff lives on the line. So we'll see. But the Braves,
I'm sure Mets fans would love
here.
it if it was reversed, right? The Mets fans would love not to play those games at Citi Field. Get the hell out of here.
They would go bonkers if they played. Now, on the AL side, more teams that are in the need of wins. Detroit won this afternoon, George. So they continue to win. And the Twins and the Royals, who can't get out of their own way right now, are playing 2 of the worst teams in the National League the next 3 days. Minnesota has the Fish in their building at Target, and they're down 4-0 in the bottom of the second inning. The Royals are in D.C. against the Nats. They are scoreless top third, but they have the bases loaded here with 2 outs in the top of the third. So we'll see if the Royals can break through. It's almost like, George, the Twins don't want to make it with the way that they've gone about their business recently. And now having the awful Marlins in your building, like, that's just awful. Just an awful job by them all around. We have some other games of note tonight. We'll come back and we'll get some thoughts on those, and we'll see who George likes, including the Padres and the Dodgers. Hey, Padres sweep them the next 3 days, George.
Yep.
Never know. Tied for the NL West, possibly. Carver Lisi, Sports Grid Radio. George Kurtz in for Joe. We're just getting going on a Tuesday night. We're back right after this.
Fall is here.
It's getting cooler.
Football and the World Series are coming in. Life is good.
SportsGrid makes it better.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Know someone with a drinking or drug problem? Learn how to get sober after we share these stories.
I was 35 with 2 beautiful children when my life and addiction started to spiral out of control. After my divorce, I went into a depression cycle and started drinking more often and using prescription drugs. After my second DWI and arrest, my ex-husband threatened to take our children away from me.
I was 17 when I became addicted to heroin and meth. I thought I could quit on my own, but I couldn't. It hit me when I was arrested.
Get sober now. Your private insurance may cover costs and we'll get you here. It's simple. Just call Elite Rehab Placement right now. Please, don't wait. Your life matters to us.
800-959-6348. 800-959-6348. 800-959-6348. Call right now before it's too late. That's 800-959-6348.
The early line.
I thought they would look better on offense, but now that you're like, okay, Worthy doesn't look like he's going to be a participant, and Travis Kelce, he's not even a part-time player on this offense. If Carson Steele in the backfield is the running back, Rashee Rice is your only viable threat, and here they are 3-0, and I just laughed and go, that's just because of Patrick Mahomes. It's just what he does. It doesn't matter the opponent, they will find a way to win.
It's the early line with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, on the Sports Grid Radio Network.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Right before your very eyes, the boys of summer are about to become the champions of fall.
MLB playoffs are coming.
And SportsGrid will bring you all the angles, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Yeah, and we're back. Carver and Lisi, Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159. Great to have you with us on a Tuesday night on the grid. 844-843-6879 is the number. All rise in the Bronx as Aaron Judge has gone yard. I did mention him today on Coast to Coast. Told you the great numbers he had against Dean Kramer. I think it was 4 for 13 with 3 homers off of him in his career coming into tonight. Well, you can make that home run number 4 as Judge goes yard, which is, what do we got, George? 56 for him now, right? 56 for Aaron Judge as we hit the final week of the season. So, look, not the biggest payout on the board, but plus 290 for Judge. I'll take it, George, to get the night rolling here, hopefully, with the homer.
Yeah, I think you'll take it. No, I don't want it. Yeah, it was a nice shot there to left field there. Not one of his majestic ones, but hey, they all count just the same here. Still 2-1 Baltimore here, I think in the 4th.
4th inning, 2-1 Baltimore. Here's the games tonight, George, of significance still to come. The Diamondbacks, who lost at home to the Giants last night, they play the Giants again. Brandon Pfaadt, and their problem is they face Logan Webb tonight, who I'll admit, not as good on the road as he is at home at Oracle, but still very tough to face Webb. Diamondbacks have had trouble with him. And that Dodger-Padre game, which is at Chavez Ravine, Landon Knack and Michael King, which is just after 10 o'clock East. So the Padres can clinch a playoff berth tonight with a win, and they also can get it down to 2, George, and maybe make the Dodgers sweat a little bit here over the last couple of days for that division. I will say, George, I did not think when this season started, all the greatness of the Dodgers and the Yamamoto, Ohtani, all that, I did not think that they'd be here with 6 games to go and not have the NL West wrapped up. So I did not think that was possible. Maybe credit that Padres. Obviously, all the injuries the Dodgers have had as well. But the way they were priced and talked about before the season, I did not think this was even a shot with a week to go.
No, same here. I have a ticket that's certainly not going to hit for them to win, more than 103 games, whatever that was. So that's done. Yeah, we all thought the Dodgers would, they've had a good season, but we all thought they were going to have maybe a season for the ages. Now, they've had a truckload of injuries. I mean, Landon Knack, Mike, he's sort of auditioning for a spot in the playoffs, right? I mean, we know Yamamoto and Flaherty are probably their 1-2. I mean, Walker Buehler, he's been awful. So Knack could be your number 3 starter if he can pitch well here down the stretch. I guess he could go tonight. He could go Sunday as well here. So he could be your number 3, number 4 starter at worst for the Los Angeles Dodgers in the postseason. Who saw that coming?
Yeah, I don't even think, George, it's an audition at this point. I think they're going to have to start him the way that things have gone for them. Like you said, they've just had so many issues. And here's the other thing. Like, I know the Yamamoto's got a little bit of work here. Like, he hasn't gone out past 4 innings in any of these starts. Like, they're keeping him very limited. And I think that's going to mean, George, they're going to need, whether it's Knack or somebody else, I'm not going to call Yamamoto an opener if you're going 4 innings, but they're going to need some backup behind him, it seems like. And Roberts likes to do those zany opener games too. Right, George? I mean, he likes to do the bullpen games and get everybody out there, but they don't have much after Flaherty and Yamamoto. They're going to probably need the kid because I don't think you can trust Buehler, as you just said, going into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be in the World Series, George.
Hit.
I don't know about. They can hit, but
they better hit. That doesn't do it in October.
Doesn't do it in October, and that's why one of these teams is going to pitch better than them and is going to get enough key hits to beat them. And we've already seen it the last couple of years. We saw it with Arizona last year. We saw it with San Diego the year before that. We saw teams that they usually dominate, George, in the regular season have rolled up in playoff time and been able to outpitch them. And looking at these teams in the National League, it'll probably happen again to them, unless they get some crazy series from Ohtani and Betts and something, and they can just absolutely carry him through. I don't think their pitching's good enough.
I agree with you. I don't think it's good enough either here. You think about it alone, Philadelphia's got much better starting pitching than you, and they're probably the team to beat the National League anyway. And I don't think they want to see San Diego either. I don't think they want to be anywhere near. That's a bugaboo for them anyway, right? Division rival, a team that knows them very well here. And San Diego they have their own star players as well. Right, Machado, Tatis, who's back now and hitting here, and they got plenty of secondary hitters as far as Cronenworth, Bogarts, and such like that. Not to mention who I think is going to win the Rookie of the Year in Jackson Merrill, but they're starting pitching Cease, King, Darvish, Musgrove. I mean, that may not be spectacular, but it's good. It's good. It's certainly a hell of a lot deeper than the Dodgers. And maybe more importantly, their bullpen is very good. Much better than the Dodgers as well.
As I have said to you already, George, I think it was last week or the week before, we are rooting for Skeens to win the NL Rookie of the Year. And in fact, he's now the favorite at most books. I saw Skeens today, minus 145, and Merrill at plus 120. So it's still tight, but Skeens now back to the favorite after his 5 innings, shutout, 9 Ks on Sunday. And he'll have, provided that they're still going to start him, a game in the Bronx on Saturday against the Yankees to finish off his season and hopefully put a ribbon on the NL Rookie of the Year. I hope.
I think you're sweating that one out until they announce the ballot. That's
the other thing, George. Like, of course, baseball. I mean, it's like 6 weeks until they announce who wins these awards. Like, you know what? I mean, come on already. I mean, they gotta wait and put like a big spectacle on MLB Network the second week in November. Like, let's just do it during the playoffs. I don't understand why they gotta make a show out of everything, George.
You'll get no argument from me. I don't know why they do that, but I don't know. I mean, Skeens. I mean, if he what if he pitches 6 innings on Saturday? He's going to go 137 innings. Merrill's numbers are fantastic, and he's going to have, I mean,
it's Skeens.
570 at bats.
Skeens.
It's Merrill.
SportsGrid Radio. We're back after this.
Don't look like an idiot at work.
Know your stuff.
Football and everything else. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
For anyone who's worried about back taxes, has not filed tax returns, and doesn't know what to do next, stop and listen. Not filing your taxes can have severe consequences, especially in this political climate. Now that COVID is over, the IRS is getting aggressive, massively increasing enforcement and collection efforts. With politicians making all sorts of promises, especially when it comes to taxes, hiding and not dealing with your taxes will cause you harsh legal and financial ramifications. But right now, the IRS offers forgiveness and writes off a massive amount of tax debt. The Tax Doctor offers a free service that helps people get out of IRS collections and back in good standing with the government. Don't hide or bury your head in the sand. Take advantage of our free service. Call now to learn more. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. That's 800-816-4492.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
In 1969, the New York Mets clinch the NL East pennant.
Ground ball hit the shortstop. Harrelson to right. There's one. First base for the play. The Mets win.
Then go on to beat the Baltimore Orioles in the World Series. Hall of Fame pitcher Tom Seaver.
You know, it's the kind of thing that happens to other people. It doesn't happen to you. And then it does happen, and it's like you're living a dream.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
Money line.
Times would be 3-0 if Levis just stopped those turnovers. It's like, and again, there will be times to bet Tennessee, but Will Levis is a problem, Donnie. He is one of the worst quarterbacks in football as long as Will Levis protects the ball. It's like, it's like if you bet the Browns, you're like, man, if Watson gets back to form, this team's incredible. It's not going to happen.
Catch Money Line with Donnie Rightside and Kevin Walsh. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
When the weather cools off,
Major League Baseball playoffs heat up. Sit tight. The World Series is coming. Keep it here for every bit of the action with strategies and information to give you the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Yeah, and we're back. Carver and Lisi with you, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159. Great to have you with us here on the grid. George Kurtz is, of course, with me. Sans Joe, Carver Sans Lisi, as he is out celebrating Big win that he had last night with that McLaurin touchdown. The McLaurin touchdown was good for me too, but for Joe, it was a massive hit. I mean, I think on the Pro Football in-game live that they do Monday nights, he jumped on Donnie. He must have been some hit for Joe in that game. So we'll get the details from him when he's back tomorrow night. So he has hit the town, getting ready to run around with all of that. All right, George, you mentioned Kansas City can't score. They did not capitalize on that bases loaded situation that they had in the top of the third. They are still scoreless, top of the fourth in D.C. against the Nats. So that's what we're dealing with there in that one. Don't think we've had much else anywhere. You said the Braves extended to 3-0 now, right? 3-0 Atlanta.
Yeah.
In the top of the
3-0
bottom.
It's going bottom four now. So
bottom four now.
I say assuming they play tomorrow, Sale pitches well. Met fans going to be a little upset. Here we go again. Last week in September, we can't win. Waiting for that.
And they always get a little, I guess you could say, George, squeamish with the Braves, right? Like there's always that. There's been so many times in the past 30 years where, even whether it was the late 90s, early 2000s teams, whether it's 2015, all these teams that they've had, the Braves seem to always be the ones to stomp their heart out in some way, shape, or form. And the Mets have the chance to, for once, do it to them, right? They're the team that could shut the Braves down, send them home. And tonight's really their best crack at it. Look, Sale, let's forget the weather. We'll take the weather out of the equation for a moment, George. But, Sale tomorrow, not easy. And the Mets are going to throw Peterson tomorrow in that game against Sale. Now, Peterson's been pretty good, George, for the Mets. And so is Minaya, who's supposed to pitch Thursday against Fried. So Minaya has been outstanding for the Mets. So, look, they've got some of their decent arms going, too, here the next couple of days to try to get this done. But the Mets really haven't been doing it, George, in my eyes, with their arms. They've been doing it with their bats. I mean, they've just been smashing teams when they've been scoring so many runs. So it's going to be difficult to do that with some good Atlanta pitching here over the next couple of days. But they got to bust out tonight against Schwellenbach.
Schwellenbach is, once again, could be another savior for the Braves. Right? No one saw this coming from this guy at all. And he's been really good, especially over the past, 6 weeks or so. He's been pretty close to an ace pitcher behind Sale, behind Lopez when he comes back there, behind Fried. He's been really good. The Braves just churn out pitching, right? That's what they do here. I think the Braves, whether they make the playoffs or not, deserve a lot of credit for still being here with all the injuries they've had. Strider, Acuna, I know Albies is back now. Riley, they just announced today he's not coming back, playoffs or not. That the wrist is not healing the way or the hand is not healing the way they had hoped there. So he's gone. So like I said, you lose those four guys for a significant part of the season. You deserve some credit to even be here now. Like I said, as a baseball fan, I said I'm not rooting against the Mets, but I do want to see some drama this weekend. That's what I root for, right? So yeah, I would like to see the Braves win a couple of games here. We'll see about the Storm here and how that adds. I hate that Manfred has made it so that, we'll just do tiebreakers now. We're not playing, one-game playoffs, game 163. I cannot stand that, all because it's extended playoffs there and all this other crap. Because you're already playing it in November. What, now you're worried about playing November 4th instead of November 3rd? It's already idiotic anyway. TV dictates everything for baseball and for football and for everybody else, too. But I will miss game 163s.
I don't like that either, George. And you got a spot where it should be maybe necessary in the AL, if you have two of these teams tied for the third wild card spot, whether it's some combination of Kansas City, Minnesota, maybe even Seattle, who is still hanging on by a thread there too. I don't like, George, that there's a tiebreaker. I would rather see, look, you want to keep going? Let's put two of them, 163 on Monday, winner. Head right to whoever you're playing on Tuesday.
Right.
I mean, we do
Why do we care about traveling for a team like that? I mean, by the way, wouldn't the team that's going to lose, Chisholm drops another ball, wouldn't the team that's going to lose rather play at 1 p.m. on Monday than not play at all? Who cares?
Do it potentially with the Mets and the Braves. That's potentially going to happen on Monday if this rain comes. Carver Lisi, SportsGrid Radio. We're back after this.
Time to
Fall is here.
And SportsGrid has you covered with strategies and info on football, baseball, and
everything else.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Lehigh University scientists have discovered that Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise, in addition to being a delicious sandwich topping, may hold the key to unlocking the secrets of nuclear fusion. Fusion on Earth means superheating hydrogen isotopes to millions of degrees centigrade, hotter than the core of the sun, which turns it into plasma, a soup of positive nuclei and free electrons. Hydraulically whipping a giant vat of Hellmann's mayonnaise turns it into a material that simulates exactly the physical and elastic properties of hot plasma at low temperatures without any of the bad side effects. And later makes for a delicious lunch. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The early line.
There's no way the Jacksonville win this football game, but there is a chance that he can get 50-plus yards and then lose this game and lose it by margin. Travis Etienne is the key for me tonight. If you want to take Jacksonville, he has to perform tonight, and he should be the bell cow, which means 15-plus carries, which means he should be in the 50s, win or lose tonight for me, for the Jags.
It's the early line with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Fall is almost here. It's time to stow the lawnmower and get ready for all that glorious action coming your way. Stay tuned to SportsGrid for all the strategies, angles, and info you need to get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Yeah, and we're back. Carver and Lisi with you, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159. On a Tuesday night on the grid, Carver sans Lisi, Joe out on assignment. George Kurtz is here for him, as he is every Tuesday night during football season. Joe will be back tomorrow. Who hit that one, George, for the Braves? Harris again, huh? Man, he has been smoking hot the last couple weeks, too.
Yeah. He's carrying his team. He really, Olsen's hitting well now too, but he's been carrying this team for the Braves. Just took him a little while, right? Had another guy who got hurt for most of the season, and he's come back now. He's certainly feeling it.
He's missed a ton of time. So 4-0 Braves, bottom of the fourth. They're in Atlanta for that. The Astros and the Mariners are underway, George. Bregman with a homer in the bottom of the first for Houston, and then Jorge Polanco matched him in the top of the second for the Mariners. So that gets us to 1-1, top two still in Houston for that.
Alvarez is out, by the way, with a sprained knee. That could be very interesting postseason-wise if he's hampered.
Yes.
They're telling you it's day-to-day. What are they going to tell? They're not going to tell you anything big there. But if he's hampered in the postseason, that could be interesting. He's I want to say their main bopper, but he's a presence in that lineup.
He definitely is. 4-1 Guardians lead the Reds. Now, the Guardians, George, are right on the Yankees' tail for the top record in the American League. I think they're 2 back, right, George? I believe. I think the Guardians
2.5.
2 back in
but
the
keep
loss,
in mind the Yankees win that tiebreaker because they won the series 4-2. So it's really 3.5. Pretty much they'd have to win out. The Yankees would lose out. Which weird things have happened here. But and the Yankees, like I said, it's not gimme over the weekend. They're going to face Skeens. I think they face Jones as well here. So they're facing pretty much the best that Pittsburgh have to offer.
Yeah.
You think it's going to be a walk in the park against the Pirates this weekend? It's not.
It definitely will not be. But the Yankees could close a lot of doors if they could just beat the Orioles tonight. They have a man on in the bottom of the fifth. There's a leadoff walk, it looked like, by Rizzo, so they'll try to get something cooking. No Dominguez again
Rizzo.
for the Yankees tonight either.
Don't see.
No
You're going to get me
Dominguez.
mad now. I've already bitched about this on Twitter. Why? Do we like the little ground outs by Verdugo to second base? Is that what we want here? Why is Verdugo playing?
I heard two nonsensical reasons today, George, why Dominguez isn't playing. First, I heard was, and I look at the numbers with all these guys with the homers today. Verdugo has great numbers against Kramer, great numbers against him. So, and the second one was, I was told by many Yankee fans that Dominguez's defense has been subpar since they called him up. He has not been good in the field, and that is another reason why he's not playing. I'll tell you this, though, right now, George, from what I've seen with the way Boone has really not put Dominguez in on a regular basis over the last week or so, he ain't playing in the postseason. I'll tell you that right now. He's going to play Verdugo. He's going to put Verdugo out and left. He's going to have Judge in center, Soto in right, and Stanton DH. That is going to be his postseason lineup.
Let's not kid ourselves.
Cashman.
This is Cashman.
I know. It's that's definitely Cashman's postseason lineup. I agree with you.
What?
I agree with you.
Cashman just cannot admit that Verdugo was a bust. And it's funny when when I complained about the Yankees, I thought trading for Verdugo, you had nothing to lose. All right, you gave away Greg Weissert. Who cares? All right, and I thought you had nothing to lose. They had a lefty bat to the lineup, and I had no problem playing him. But once Dominguez became healthy around the All-Star break, that experiment was over. Verdugo has not hit since May. That's not me being a joke. It's not me being sarcastic. Look up the numbers. They're horrific since May. He's literally ranked at like 168 batters, 166. What are you doing here? All right. And by the way, Dominguez's defense has been subpar. That's probably a good way of saying it. It's not been terrible, but it has been subpar. But the man is a much better hitter than Verdugo. Much better hitter than Verdugo. I mean, what are we doing here?
Don't disagree.
Plus, a couple of it, Rizzo can't hit either. Rizzo doesn't have a home run since he came back. Whatever. And you wonder why the Yankees are going to lose in the first round.
Now we got you gassed up, George. We got you gassed up now for it. There you go.
Verdugo thing drives me crazy. It just drives me absolutely insane.
He stinks. He's just not any good. it doesn't make any sense to me either. It's just
what do they owe to him? Oh, he's up now, too. First and second, nobody out. He's up. You want to guess what he's going to do? Can we bet on this?
What's the...
It won't be hard contact, I'll tell you that.
Let me ask you this, George, since we're talking about this. Yeah, we're going to start doing the football stuff soon. Most of the second hour, we'll get all the football in. Yankees are plus 175 to win the American League right now. And this is surprising to me because we've seen a lot in Octobers with this format the last few years. The hottest team is the one that gets to the World Series. And it's Detroit right now, George. Who's the hottest team in the American League? It is Detroit. Oh, you're going to get mad. What did he do? What did he do, George?
What do you think he did? First and second, nobody out. What do you think he did?
He hit into a double play.
That's what he did.
I'm about to see it. I'm a little behind you.
Over and over again. What is this? What is that saying about the definition of insanity? Is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result? And this is the Yankees for you. This is Cashman for you. You cannot admit that. I said it doesn't make any sense. It's Verdugo. You don't owe anything to him. He's been on a team for what? 8 months? Why do they feel they need to play this guy? Why do they think things are going to get different? Oh, he has a great numbers against Kramer. He's been awful. Ugh. Whatever.
You worried? You scared of the Tigers if you're a Yankee fan in the playoffs? I am.
If they can line up Scooble twice, yeah, you're afraid of the Tigers. I mean,
think about it. He pitched today. Now they don't lose.
So he's set up. He's set either pitch Sunday or game one.
And they're playing the White Sox Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't think they're going to need Sunday, George. To be quite honest with you,
I don't think so.
I think they're going to be in, and I think they're going to play. And at first I thought they were going to play Houston, but now I'm starting to think it's going to be them and the Orioles in the 1-2 wild card series. They just beat the Orioles. What was it? 4 out of 6 the past 2 weeks in both places. They took the series from them. So that would set them up. They could potentially, so they wouldn't play the Yankees for a little while, but I think they're going to be set up to where Scooble's going to pitch game one, whoever they face next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And if they win, either way, they're going to have him set up for game one of twice in a division series. which would be
I think in the
against
division series, I mean, as far as I don't know if the Detroit
would
would
be
play
the
the Yankees. The
Yankees.
Yankees would open up on
if
Saturday.
they're the 4-5. If they're
So
the
he wouldn't be able to
4-5,
pitch game 1. He would pitch game 2. But that's
he
still
would
twice in the
pitch
series.
He'd pitch
You pitch
well.
a Tuesday,
yeah,
you don't pitch
Wednesday,
Saturday, you pitch
Thursday,
Tuesday and
Friday.
Sunday.
Okay.
It's Tuesday,
he would
Sunday.
pitch
So he would pitch game 2.
still
But he
pitch
still
twice.
pitches twice in the series. Unless you think the
Yeah.
Yankees are going to win in 5, which I really
Yeah.
wouldn't think. I mean,
Well,
it's a problem. Scooble
for
is
a
a
series
problem.
for a series that I think is a lot closer than what this odds board tells me, George. Yankees are plus 175 to win the AL. Detroit's 17-1 to win the AL. I still think there's with these hot teams, we've seen it. Arizona last year, Texas last year, Phillies the year before. Like the hot teams stay hot in October.
The American League is
ring
wide
a
open.
bunch
I
off.
mean, who do we love in the American League? We know the Yankees have problems. Baltimore has all sorts of
That's
problems.
why this 17.
Cleveland?
How is Kansas City and Minnesota still ahead of them on the board at 16? Makes no sense to me. How?
Minnesota shouldn't be ahead of them. I don't even know if Minnesota gets in anymore.
I
They
can't
certainly
stand
shouldn't be
the
ahead of them.
Tigers, George, and I'm putting it in 17-1. I'll take a ticket with them for them to
The
win
team,
the AL.
unfortunately, that I think is the team to beat, it's the Astros.
Well, of course it is. But if Detroit's the 6, you get that AJ Hinch little gas in that 3-gamer next
That'd
week.
be fun. That'd be
Now,
fun.
that could be fun with Scooble pitching game 1. That could be. They could do some damage for the Yankees and maybe knock Houston out of the way. But then with the Yankees
Big
be able
Detroit
to
fans.
big Detroit
Wouldn't
fans,
fit
big
anybody.
Detroit fans until
Anybody.
they knock the Yankees out. Carver Lisi, SportsGrid Radio. We're back after this.
Yeah, it's getting cooler. Football weather is here. Stay tuned for all the latest odds, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Lehigh University scientists have discovered that Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise, in addition to being a delicious sandwich topping, may hold the key to unlocking the secrets of nuclear fusion. Fusion on Earth means superheating hydrogen isotopes to millions of degrees centigrade, hotter than the core of the sun, which turns it into plasma, a soup of positive nuclei and free electrons. Hydraulically whipping a giant vat of Hellmann's mayonnaise turns it into a material that simulates exactly the physical and elastic properties of hot plasma at low temperatures without any of the bad side effects. And later makes for a delicious lunch. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
No way football is played in the fall and winter because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Yeah. And we're back. Carver Lisi, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM 159. George Kurtz in for Joe here tonight. We're watching a lot of baseball. We're going to go through all the football, too. As Ozuna hit, I'm finally seeing this, George. Ozuna hits one Oppo Taco up by the Chop House there in right field. So 5-0 Braves here, as it has not been a good night for Met pitching. They got, what a surprise, George. Severino came up small in a big spot for the Mets. You've seen that movie. I've seen that movie before, George. I've seen that movie before.
This is also not what
spot.
you want, by the way, for the Mets. Now they got to go to their bullpen for 5 innings. Well, 4 innings. I'm going to assume they're not going to have to pitch the 9th in a big series here. Not great. Not great for certainly not anywhere near the start the Mets wanted here in this series. And no Lindor still yet either. Although he was running pre-game. Looked pretty good running for what it's worth.
Yeah, he did look pretty good running. That's for sure. But they need him out there, especially, I still believe they're going to be playing on Monday. So you're going to definitely want him, George, Monday.
They're not. You know what? It never works out that way, Mike. We never get the game when we want it. We never do.
Can you imagine
Every
if they
time
got
it's
to
like,
play both?
There's a 98% scenario. This is going to happen. You want to get an extra game back when they did extra games, and we never got it. We never got lucky and got it.
What? Can you imagine if they got to play both games on Monday? If they don't get either game in the next 2 days, you imagine if they don't get either. You talk about chaos, and there's people that root for this. You want scheduling chaos.
I root for this. And I like chaos.
We root for this stuff all the time. And let me tell you, it also would give us a hell of a Monday. Because then they're gonna play them both probably starting at like noon East. Like they're gonna get a straight doubleheader, noon East. Mets Braves playing 2 games on Monday. Now, think about also, George, the pitching, how it would set up. Because now you're not gonna pitch Sale and Fried against the Mets. Are you saving them? Or are you gonna try to use them again? Who do the Braves have? Oh, Kansas City. So they're playing a team that's also playing for something this weekend.
Braves can't save. The Mets can be a little cute. The Braves can't.
I don't think the Mets can be cute either. I think the Mets have to, because they're playing Milwaukee, who's going to be playing for nothing. Because they're not going to be able to get even the 2.
Your rotation. You're going to go in rotation. You still got to win games. Theoretically, by the way, remember there are other teams involved in this too, right? I mean, the Diamondbacks. Right, what happens with them? What are they going to do? It's not just between these 2 teams. All right, even
like if the Diamondbacks
Braves,
went
Diamondbacks,
completely in the tank. If the Diamondbacks went in the tank over the next 5 days and somehow didn't win a game, and the Mets and the Braves won a couple games this weekend, they wouldn't have to play maybe on Monday if the Diamondbacks played themselves out of it. But George, that's not going to happen. I want the chaos. You want it too. We always root for chaos, and I hope that it happens for everybody here with this. One more. Did you see this too? This is the last thing I'll do. Me and Pharrell talked about this. You see with the Pirates, we always talk bad about the Pirates, but today, George, they solidified why they're the Pirates. Rowdy Tellez needed 4 more at-bats to get a $200,000 bonus, and he was at 421. At 425, he was going to get the $200,000. There's 6 games left in the season. Last week, and the Pirates DFA'd him today. Him and Michael Taylor. I don't know what kind of stipulations Michael Taylor had in his contract. I'm sure he had some for them to do that too. Or maybe they were just trying to make it look nice and get rid of 2 vets on the same day. But, George, that is as gutless as it gets. And that's why the Pirates are the Pirates, for stuff like that.
The thing is,
absolutely gutless.
It's Bush League, right? It's absolute Bush League. We know why they did. I'm sure the union will file a grievance also to try and stop that. But if you're going to do this, do it 2-3 weeks ago. I mean, there is he's batting .243. He's got 13 home runs. 56 RBIs? I mean, he hasn't been great. If you do it like the end of August, and you weren't in playoff contention, we wouldn't be talking about it as much. We would know you're still doing it, all right? You're still being, cheap, but we wouldn't be busting your chops as much. And that, what you have to do it with 4 at-bats left on September 24th, 5 days before the season's ending, we know what you're doing here. It's just, and like I said, if you're a legitimate major leaguer, would you sign with Pittsburgh, especially if there's any kind of bonus clause in your contract? Probably not. Why would you do it? Probably. Because they look for a way to get out of it. It just doesn't look good here. Santander, a home run for the Baltimore Orioles. I love when Boone does this, by the way. Now he takes Schmidt out after the home run. Yeah, whatever.
Wow, how about that? So Santander goes deep. Am I seeing that right? 44 for him, George? 44 home runs for Santander.
Amazing how well these guys do in walk years.
And think about this. I think he had a walk-off last week against, maybe it was against the Tigers. I forget who it was. He had a walk-off last week. I felt like that was his first homer in like a month. The walk-off.
He's slumping.
The whole month of September, he was slumping. So for him to be in the mid-40s with basically almost an entire month where he didn't hit any, that's pretty wild in itself. So Santander goes deep there for the O's to take care of business. What they extend to now? 3-1 in the top of the 6th inning.
Yankee Stadium.
So there you go.
Off the pole down the right field line.
Well, George, like they say,
44,
you gotta
100?
gotta be able to take them. You get plenty of them. You gotta be able to take them too.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no issues with it. He hit it hard.
No. So
Only
there it
batting
is with that.
235.
Also, because
will
you got me
the
down the
Orioles
rabbit,
pay him? They're not going to pay him.
you got me down the rabbit hole when I went to go look at Detroit's number for the American League, which was 17-1. I went to look at some of their I like the exactas, George, like the two teams to name the finalists for the World Series. This one caught my eye, and I played it for a couple bucks. Detroit versus Arizona, World Series, 260-1 on FanDuel right now.
I think Fox would puke, by the way.
60-1. Oh, Fox would puke. They sure would. But that's, I think anything's possible watching this the last few years in terms of teams getting
It's
there.
who's hot at the right time. It's just who's hot at the right time in Major League Baseball players. You're absolutely right. I mean, how you play during the regular season doesn't really matter anymore. Now you talk about 3-game series, 5-game series, 7-game series. How does your pitching line up here? And by the way, we just talked about this. Think about the Yankees, and the Yankees won't be the only team, by the way. Any division winner, Cleveland's in the same boat, so will Philadelphia. I'll save the Dodgers just for giggles here. But they're going to play Sunday, and then they're not going to play again until Friday or Saturday. And you're going to have 5 or 6 days off here. It's I know you'll take the rest. You're always going to take the rest, but that can't be good either. I think it hurts as well.
It hurts them.
Especially nowadays, Mike, everyone's throwing 110 miles an hour.
Yep. I think it absolutely hurts them. No doubt about that. All right, Carver and Lisi here with you. George Kurtz in for Joe on a Tuesday night. We're going through the baseball, and yes, I've been saying it, we're going to get into all of the football as well. We're looking ahead to week number 4. We're with you on the grid, Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM 159. Back after this.
Money line.
Times would be 3-0 if Levis just stopped those turnovers. It's like, and again, there will be times to bet Tennessee, but Will Levis is a problem, Donnie. He is one of the worst quarterbacks in football as long as Will Levis protects the ball. It's like, it's like if you bet the Browns, you're like, man, if Watson gets back to form, this team's incredible. It's not going to happen.
Catch Moneyline with Donnie Rightside and Kevin Walsh. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on the Sports Grid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Then here's a great idea. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Yes, one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program and we'll come and remove your car for free. Fast, free towing, and 24-hour response. You can donate most cars, trucks, or SUVs in most conditions. The proceeds raised goes to help active military, veterans, and their families, and you get a tax deduction. All you need to do is make this free call. Get rid of that old car and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now and book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Donation Program now. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Operators are standing by. Here's the number.
800-647-5419. 800-647-5419. 800-647-5419. Again, that's 800-647-5419.
Days are getting cooler.
The shadows are getting longer.
You know what that means? It's football weather. So bundle up and keep it here for all the latest strategies and gridiron information. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
A Monday warrior, mean strike. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride.
And we're back. Carver and Lisi with you, Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM 159. Here with you on a Tuesday night. I finally saw the Santander homer, George. Yeah, that was a dinger right off the pole. It flew off the pole way back out in the center field. It hit the pole so hard. off of it here. So, and they've got another man on now. As I forget who it was that just walked. I think it was either Mountcastle or somebody else.
Mountcastle's up.
You see, Mountcastle's up now. So it was O'Hearn maybe that just walked for them. Baltimore looking to extend, and keep the Yankees from celebrating an AL East crown tonight. They're not going to do that thing, George, where they throw the champagne all over the locker room again, are they? They've already done that once. Don't tell me they're going to do that again when they win the division.
I sort of go back and forth on this. I mean,
I hate it. I despise
the Yankees, all right, celebrating a playoff spot is okay. Everyone makes the playoffs nowadays, right? I think it's 6-7 teams in, so it's half the league, and
I despise it.
You did it in Seattle? Do you do it again when you get the division? I mean, are you going to do it again if you clinch the overall? I mean, and I thought, by the way, it was really easy to figure out the Yankees would lose last. I think it was Thursday afternoon. They had to sell it because they won it Wednesday night. I figured, there's no way they're going to show up Thursday afternoon. And Lord knows that was the game with Clark Schmidt again, where he couldn't field the ground ball, where Dominguez dropped the fly ball, which is what everyone's talking about, by the way. They made 2 errors in the first inning, and those were the only runs that came in all day for Seattle were those 3 unearned runs. I'm sorry. Only 2 of them were unearned because the little dribbler back that Schmidt couldn't handle, that was ruled a hit. Because there are no such things as errors in baseball anymore. It's a complete joke. The Yankees, the bats that didn't show up that day, they lost 3-2. So if they were to celebrate, by the way, I'm betting against the Yankees the next day.
They better not start throwing stuff around a clubhouse if they win this AL East here over the next few days. I despise all of it, George. I
guess you do want to celebrate.
These teams all celebrating clinching a spot. Winning a wild card round, winning the division series, winning the ALCS. Just celebrate when you win the World Series. They don't do it in hockey, George. Every round, they're not all ripping apart the dressing room, the locker room after they win a round in the NHL playoffs. They don't do it in the NBA. They don't do it in the NFL. The celebration is when you win the whole thing. Why are we going bonkers on September the 24th in an MLB locker room? And then, George, doing it again when they win the wild card. All these 4 teams next week are going to do it again. They're going to throw champagne and beers all over the locker room after. It's nonsense.
I think it's tradition.
Old man yells at cloud from me, George.
Well, it's tradition, but the problem is the tradition is when you only won 1 round. You didn't have 17 teams making the playoffs. So I kind of understood it when back in the 70s and 80s, you won with that's it. You had to win your divisionals. You weren't getting in, right? So I kind of understand that. But now that with the extra wild card round and this, that, and the 17 teams, I mean, like I said, I go back and forth on it. I don't think you should be celebrating every little thing. I don't. You want to celebrate getting in? Fine. Then we're going to celebrate winning a wild card round? No. I'm sorry, that's not a celebration. I guess a divisional round, fine. The ALCS or the NLCS, fine. I can sort of live with that. Assuming, by the way, you're not playing the next day or 2 days away. That always really you're going to get out there and get hammered. You're going to go play a game in the next 40 hours here. Probably not the smartest things to do.
Probably not. I would agree with you, but they'll do it anyway, George, because that's what they do. They do it anyway. The Twins are having all kinds of problems here. They're already down 4-1, and the Marlins have 2nd and 3rd here in the top of the 5th. So the Twins seem like they lost 22 of their last 33. Coming into tonight,
it's nuts.
They've got
it's absolutely nuts.
Kinds of issues. The Royals have lost 7 in a row. They've had multiple 7-game losing streaks in the last month.
Royals can't. It's still scoreless. Everybody, look at this game. It's scoreless.
In fact, they had a leadoff double, and the kid got thrown out at 3rd trying to steal 3rd for the Royals. So I don't know why we were trying to do that, but
at least it wasn't Royals who was trying to steal home.
I mean, man, how dumb was that last week? Jeez. How dumb
it's funny because the first thing I thought it was, it's like the first strike that he'll threw, right? He threw a strike to get him at home, or else he would have been safe. But it's 3-0 count, buddy. You can't be doing that there. And he got benched, too. I wonder if that was the reason why.
Turner was looking at him like, the hell's this guy doing? Who's Turner, who was up at bat, right? He's like, what the hell's this guy doing?
It cost me an RBI.
We'll come back, George. I want to start to get into some stuff. Obviously, my team steamrolled the Jaguars on Monday night. I want to talk a little bit about that. Jaden Daniels is he's the man right now. He was unbelievable in Cincinnati. we'll start to look at all this stuff coming up for this week and week number 4. Some really good games. Carver Lisi, Sports Grid Radio. We're back hour 2 right after this.
Fall is here.
It's getting cooler.
Football and the World Series are coming in. Life is good.
SportsGrid makes it better.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Lehigh University scientists have discovered that Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise, in addition to being a delicious sandwich topping, may hold the key to unlocking the secrets of nuclear fusion. Fusion on Earth means superheating hydrogen isotopes to millions of degrees centigrade, hotter than the core of the sun, which turns it into plasma, a soup of positive nuclei and free electrons. Hydraulically whipping a giant vat of Hellmann's mayonnaise turns it into a material that simulates exactly the physical and elastic properties of hot plasma at low temperatures without any of the bad side effects. And later makes for a delicious lunch. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channel dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
When the weather cools off,
Major League Baseball playoffs heat up. Sit tight. The World Series is coming. Keep it here for every bit of the action with strategies and information to give you the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Please welcome.
It's the opening kickoff with Carver and Lisi.
All right, here we go. Carver and Lisi with you. Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159. Great to have you with us here on the grid. 844-843-6879 is the number. Very busy hour. We'll do a lot of football here. We'll keep our eyes on all the baseball that's happening as well. Mike Carver with you. Sans Lisi, Joe out on assignment, back tomorrow. He's out going painting the town green after that Terry McLaurin touchdown on Monday night. George Kurtz is here, of course, instead, as usual on a Tuesday. Hitler Bell's in the mix, too. And I have not actually talked to Matthias before I bring... let me bring George in first. George, great to see you, as always, here. Hour number 2, Carver. Before we move on, George, I have not spoken to Matthias since Sunday. And he made some claims here last week about his Atlanta Falcons. And I got to tell you, they were very close. I know that he probably feels like there should have been a flag on that Kyle Pitts play down in the end zone the first time that they were down there, which was before the 2-minute warning, I guess, right, George? And then they didn't kick the field goal. Then they got the ball back, and they were down inside the 20 again when Robinson got stuffed on the sweep on 4th down. Matthias close, but no cigar. They couldn't even cover, sadly. I'll say this to you, buddy. I would not have ran. I know you got jobbed on the Pitts call, but that 4th down call, the sweep, I would have smashed it up the middle twice with Algier on 3rd and 4th down. I would not have ran the sweep with Bijan.
And we'll never know what Matthias feels. I agree with you about that. The play calling at the end was awful. It was awful, the play calling. All right, it was bad. Even the passes, by the way. I mean, the Pitts one, yeah, it was pass interference, but it also had no chance of being completed. He wasn't open. I don't know if that was. We didn't see. I couldn't see the all 22, so I don't know whether anybody else running a route. Was that all that Cousins had was Pitts or nothing? Because that had no chance, and even the play before that didn't have a chance either. And Cousins threw. So it was just weird what was going on there. You don't run a sweep on 4th and short. You just don't, because you don't want the lineman to get upfield, right? You got to smash it in there. That's why you have Algier, right? Or just run Bijan twice. Anything. Hell, Cousins, I know they're not going to do it because of his Achilles, but Cousins a sneak would have been nice as well here. So I thought the play calling was awful. Yeah, they got screwed on the no DPI. But you know what? Every team gets screwed on bad calls. The refs suck. All right, the Cardinals got totally jobbed this week on that stupid,
that 2-minute warning thing was awful. That was an awful call by them. I mean, listen, we always have a laundry list of stuff with these refs at the end of each week that you can go through. And look, Atlanta had chances. I'll say that. And for all the whole, they should have kicked the field goal first crowd that's out there, George. Let me just tell you something. All everybody does now is scream for these guys to go for it every single time. Go for it. Go for it. Charts and graphs. They put the dopey percentage on the bottom of the screen. Nobody wants anybody kicking field goals anymore. Nobody, especially that spot. That's a go for it. You're trying to get a touchdown. End of story. You can't second guess after that, because that's the way it is now. Scoring's down as it is. You're looking for touchdowns in a spot like that, not trying to kick field goals. What did you think, George, of Daniels? Go ahead if you had something on that. Go ahead.
What I would say is I was on live with Gabe or in-game live. What are we calling these shows now? So Gabe and I were on live. Now Gabe and I are older. We both, from the 6-yard line, we both said we would have kicked the field goal. But that being said, I didn't mind them going for it. I didn't. Because I know it played out exactly how I thought it would, by the way. I'm going to set it on air. It was first guessing here, so I don't want to hear it. I said, all right, you go for it. If you don't get it, Kansas City's not going to do anything, right? They're going to go 3 and out because they're not going to want to take any chance, because they also think that you guys can't score in the red zone. Because it was the same thing. Everything was the same in that game. I mean, you would get in there. We called this. They'll get back in the red zone, and then they'll get stopped again. That's what Kansas City will assume. This is why they won't take any chances on offense. And it did play out that way. But that being said, yeah, I probably would have kicked the field goal. But I'm also the first person to tell you, Kansas City probably approaches their possession differently. If they wouldn't be at the 6-yard line, they'd be at probably the 30, with the way these kickoffs are going here. And they would probably know their defense has been playing bend but don't break. We can't give up another field goals. We got to take more shots on offense. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But the game would have changed. It would have just been, they'll be right back where they are. They could have kicked the field goal for to tie the game. Maybe not.
You're right, George. You're 100% right. All these situations change based upon the ifs and buts or candy and nuts every day would be Christmas stuff. Like that it's very easy to do. It's like the Giant Washington game the week before. Well, if they had the kicker and if they kicked extra points and if they did this, the situations would have been different. The game plays out different. It's just how all these things constantly work. What did you think of Daniels on Monday night in Cincinnati, which was a hell of a spot, obviously national primetime game. The other game was a blowout, so pretty much everyone was fixated on the Bengals and Washington being a good game. They haven't punted or turned the ball over in 2 weeks. They have been outstanding. And who was it? Britt Taylor on Cincinnati. Oh, they run a college offense. Yeah, it looks like it works. And I think it's smart what they're doing, George. And this is the difference. All these rookie quarterbacks, first-year quarterbacks, sometimes it's, what's the situation they're put in? What's the environment they're put in? You take Caleb Williams, who's with this goon Eberflus, who should have been fired after last year. What a surprise. He's off to a bad start. You put, a Dan Quinn, little bit of stability, Kingsbury, good play caller, and suddenly Jaden Daniels, they're doing the right things with him. I thought he was excellent on Monday night.
My first thought was, as a Cowboy fan, this is a problem. This is a problem. All right. They've got a franchise quarterback. All right. So that's going to be an issue for, the next decade or whatever it might be there. Second issue would be you better teach this guy how to not take hits. He's not built like Cam Newton or Ben Roethlisberger. He's going to get hurt if he keeps taking these kind of hits here. So that was a thing there. Third, the Bengals. What the hell happened to your defense? You guys looked awful. There was I almost said Redskins. The Commanders have no offensive line. It's bad. Yet there was no pass pressure there. I mean, Daniels he could have ordered a pizza, could have maybe got some knots there, and there wasn't a problem for him. All right, it was just this was a Super Bowl defense too. I'm not telling you they were like the Ravens of 2000 or the Giants of '86 or anything, but this was a good defense. And what happened here? They couldn't cover anybody. They couldn't get any pass pressure there. They did a good job against Robinson, the running back. They looked good stopping the run, but everything else was just horrific there. So, I'm going to have to give Craig Mish, he and I do fantasy sports today on Saturday mornings. I'm going to have to give him his flowers here. He said Washington would win the game. I did not. I think I might have made a little fun of him. He said
it outright. He said it outright. Wow.
And I think I said that they're going to get killed. That it was a Monday night game in Cincinnati. They were getting. I thought it'd be a get right game for the Bengals. I was wrong. Craig was right. This just hurts, but that's just the way it is here. So like I said, good team, better than we thought.
I'll be one, I'm sure, and this is like starting to become like fantasy teams. Everybody whining about their knockout pools, but yes, George, Cincinnati got me on Monday night. In one that was down to less than 5 people that I was in. Good one too. It had over 300 in it to start, and it was down to the last 5, and I was still in. But I had Cincinnati on Monday night, so away I go from that one. And away, even like obviously the big money ones like Circa out in Vegas. I mean,
crushed this
weekend.
Have
been absolutely demolished heading into week number 4. Carver and Lisi, Sports Grid Radio, 844-843-6879. We're back after this on the grid.
Don't look like an idiot at work.
Know your stuff.
Football and everything else. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Lehigh University scientists have discovered that Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise, in addition to being a delicious sandwich topping, may hold the key to unlocking the secrets of nuclear fusion. Fusion on Earth means superheating hydrogen isotopes to millions of degrees centigrade, hotter than the core of the sun, which turns it into plasma, a soup of positive nuclei and free electrons. Hydraulically whipping a giant vat of Hellmann's mayonnaise turns it into a material that simulates exactly the physical and elastic properties of hot plasma at low temperatures without any of the bad side effects. And later makes for a delicious lunch. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Carver and Lisi.
Not only that, but what happened? I heard Roy from Nebraska wanted to call in last night.
I'm not sure what that is.
I'm Roy from Nebraska.
What does it matter if I know it's you?
Because then you prepare yourself. When you think it's Roy from Nebraska.
Prepare myself.
Yeah.
Prepare myself for what?
For the wrath that I'm going to club you with.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Weekdays 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Know why football is played in the fall and winter?
Because the hits don't hurt as much
when you're numb.
Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Back. Carver and Lisi with you, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM 159. Mike Carver with you, Sans Joe out on assignment, back tomorrow. George Kurtz in for Joe as usual on a Tuesday. One or two things, then back to the football. Number one, did Urias just homer for the Orioles, George? Did I see that? So Urias homers for the Orioles. So they extend a little bit further out. In that one, Vientos homered for the Mets, but it's still 5-1. Tucker homered for the Astros to make that 3-2. Seattle leads there in Houston. So 3-1 Orioles, or 4-1 Orioles, excuse me. So 4-1 Orioles now. They lead the Yankees in the Bronx. I was able to find Matias, George. We went to him before. I wanted to know how much I hated, and you did too, them running the sweep with Bijan Robinson on that fourth down play instead of smashing it up the middle with Tyler Algier. But I'm sure that Matias has some excuses for his team after Sunday night. Let's hear them.
No, I have nothing but good things to say about the Falcons after the Chiefs game. I thought they had a really soft third quarter, which they obviously came from behind. I thought they moved down the field fairly quickly in their two drives in the fourth quarter. Both got stalled at the 10-yard line. One of those play calls should have been a pass interference, in my opinion. Should have been a touchdown to Kyle Pitts. Completely whiffed on the call. The referees did. And Tyler Algier missed the block on fourth down that would have gave Bijan the first down. And there's a lot of people clowning the Falcons for them not kicking the field goal the first time around and cutting the lead.
I said that. That's nonsense. That's nonsense.
That's a load of crap, because if that was Arthur Smith, he would have kicked the field goal. The Falcons wouldn't have got a stop, and the Chiefs would have ran out the clock with the Falcons not having a chance to win the game. And then everybody would have been like, oh, my God, what idiots. They should have gone for the win. You're playing at home. I thought the call was there. The plays weren't made. The Falcons have a bright season ahead of them, boys.
You missed it, but George said it. I said it too. All these people want everyone to go for it all the time now. Nobody wants anyone kicking field goals. So everybody all of a sudden wants field goals. It's nonsense. And as George said, you do kick the field goal. The Chiefs are probably starting at the 30, not the 6. Okay, on that drive afterwards. And that makes everything a lot different as being backed up in your own goal line or starting at the 30 in a 2-point game as opposed to the 6 in a 5-point game. So everything changes off of all of those things that happen there in that. So the Falcons, is this week the Saint game, Matias? They play the Saints this week?
It is the Saints game, and I'm excited for it. I told you guys last week that the Falcons have a bone to pick with the Saints coming down to the last game of the season last year where they ran in that touchdown on the 1-yard line when the game was over.
You still mad about the Jameis touchdown? Is that the Jameis touchdown last year to end the year?
You don't forget about that stuff, guys. This is a rivalry game. The Saints and the Falcons is a true rivalry. Fans don't forget about that stuff. The players don't forget about that stuff.
If they need that to rile them up for this game.
Yeah, that shouldn't
of course
shouldn't
it does,
matter.
guys. Are you kidding me? I didn't forget about it. And if I didn't forget about it, you think that the coaching staff forgot about it? No.
The coaching staff's gone. The whole new coaching staff. The whole new staff.
Who's ever there, guys. It doesn't matter.
That's all for the fans. That's all.
No. If you're a
Saints fan, coach apologize for crying out loud.
You know that. You know that. There's no rivalry like that with the New York Giants and the New York Jets. That's like if the Cowboys ran it on the Giants when the game is over. Trust me, you wouldn't forget, George. You wouldn't forget. You'd be all pissed off about it. No. I can't wait to play the Saints.
Right, correct. Fandom. Players don't care.
I can't wait for this Sunday. It's going to be loud in there. It's going to be great. I think the Falcons are going to win this game. And I can't wait for it.
Game's in Atlanta?
Yeah, it's in Atlanta. And then they got the Buccaneers, the scary Buccaneers. Oh, the Bucks. The Bucks who just lost to Denver at home. Such a scary team, the Buccaneers
be careful here. You're 0-2 at home. You're 0-2 at home already.
It's okay.
So
we played the Eagles. We played the Chiefs.
We
played the Steelers. I love that they played those first 3 games of the season. It'll jumpstart their season to what they need to do now. It's a good level stick, guys, for the Falcons. Playing the Steelers and getting dominated on the offensive line. Supposedly the Falcons had the best offensive line in football, where the Pittsburgh Steelers told them, your guys' line's not that great. So they got a reality check. And they beat the Eagles, which nobody thought that the Falcons would do. Nobody thought the Falcons would ever beat the Eagles. And then it was so lucky that they beat the Eagles. It wasn't that lucky whatsoever. And then the Chiefs got lucky, in my opinion. I think the Falcons gave the Chiefs the game. The Falcons had the game won, and they couldn't close out the deal. I don't think the Chiefs won the game. I think the Falcons gave the game away.
That last part might be true.
Maybe.
But the Chiefs made the plays when they had to make them.
If the Saints
They always
go into
do,
Atlanta
George.
and
They
smoke
always
Atlanta,
do.
if the
They always
Saints
find a
come in
way
and
to
smoke
win.
Atlanta on
Every damn
Sunday,
game.
I'll fall on my face. I'll fall on my face if the Saints beat up Atlanta, especially that defensive line against the Falcons' offensive line that's a little beat up. They lost their center, Drew Dahlman, going to the IR. They just signed Wilkinson, who I'm sure George knows. George, the former Jet, Elijah
Yes,
Wilkinson.
he's out 6 to 8 weeks. That's a loss. That's definitely a heavy loss.
And they also lost McGarry, who I don't think is amazing, but he's definitely pretty good. Some people say he's the best, tackle out there. I don't believe that, but he is pretty good. He's out for at least a month with a sprained MCL. So that's two offensive linemen missing for the Atlanta Falcons. So, and they're going to blitz Kirk Cousins, the Saints are this weekend in Atlanta. They're going to be bringing the pressure because Kirk doesn't play well under pressure, guys. So I wonder how the offensive line is going to play with those two absences.
There it is, the Falcon breakdown from Matthias. We got it in as they get ready for the Saints this week. That's for sure. We'll come back, and I want to start asking George about a few of these games from this week. We'll kind of tie in some things from last week along with it. Still scoreless in Washington with the Royals and the Nats. Just nothing happening here in this game. I've seen a bunch of guys for the Royals get thrown out on the bases too, George, which is just amazing in a spot like this. The Twins are still losing to the Marlins at home too, 4-1. They're down. So who's loving all this, George, is the Tigers. They've already won today, and they're watching both these teams not play well, which is just unbelievable to think that they're doing it this year. So 4-1, bottom 6. Carver and Lisi, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM 159. We're back on the grid right after this.
And SportsGrid has you covered with strategies and info on football, baseball, and everything else. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
In 1969, the New York Mets clinch the NL East pennant.
Ground ball hit the shortstop. Harrelson to White. There's one. First base, double play. The Mets win.
Then go on to beat the Baltimore Orioles in the World Series. Hall of Fame pitcher Tom Seaver.
It's the kind of thing that happens to other people. It doesn't happen to you. And then it does happen, and it's like you're living a dream.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
Carver and Lisi.
Not only that, but what happened? I heard Roy from Nebraska wanted to call in last night.
I'm not sure what that is.
I'm Roy from Nebraska.
What does it matter if I know it's you?
Because then you prepare yourself. When you think it's Roy from Nebraska.
Prepare myself.
Yeah.
Prepare myself for what?
For the wrath that I'm going to club you with.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Weekdays 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-365-6303. 800-365-6303. 800-365-6303. That's 800-365-6303.
When the weather cools off, Major League Baseball playoffs heat up. Sit tight. The World Series is coming. Keep it here for every bit of the action with strategies and information to give you the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
we're back. Carver and Lisi, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM 159. Great to have you with us here on the grid. 844-843-6879 is the number. All right, George, a few things here. Number one, I get to talk about my team too. That's just the way it goes. When you win 47-10, you're allowed to say really nice things about your team. Bills are 3-0. That's how it goes, George. 3-0. And I was very, I know Joe got on me a lot during the offseason. I was very pessimistic about this year. I didn't think they were going to suck. I didn't think they were going to not make the playoffs. I just thought it was a little bit of a transition year. They moved out a lot of guys who were part of the last 5 years, and they have a lot of new faces, getting younger. Window doesn't close when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen. You just need to make sure that you keep it open a lot wider by having some guys that you can, build and be part of it for the next few years to come. So, sure enough, George, he's come out and he's been outstanding through these first 3 games. He's 9-1 since Brady took over as the offensive coordinator. And here's the biggest thing for me, George. 2 things. Number one, he gets everybody involved, which is obviously everybody makes a big deal about because of the Diggs thing. Diggs is gone, and now all of a sudden gets everybody involved. He threw to 10 different receivers on Monday night. And the second thing, and even more important, George, what you notice the most about Josh Allen this year? What's he not doing? That everyone always gives him he's just a machine. He does a turnover machine, right, George? How many times has Josh Allen turned the ball over in the first 3 weeks this season? That'd be a 0, George. An absolute dead 0. And I said it to you last week, and I'll say it to you again as they keep winning and in the ways that they're winning. If Josh Allen is going to go 13-4 this year with the Buffalo Bills and win the AFC East and be one of the top 2 seeds in the AFC with this crew, and I'm not, this kind of mash unit of wide receivers and different skill position players that have been thrown together with him, he's the favorite now, and he'll stay the favorite all the way through the year, George. He'll be the MVP of the NFL.
I don't have much to go against you here. Now, I am not a Josh Allen hater, never have been. I appreciate the guy's talent. I just think a lot of the criticism he gets, listen, the turnovers thing can be legitimate. Not winning the big game, all right. I'm not saying it's his fault, by the way. Not much you can do when Mahomes got 2 passes to win the game.
I will fight anybody. I will fight anybody who tries to tell me he can't win a big game. He's got some of the best playoff performances ever. And one of them was in a loss. That Chief game in the division round, of course, he had one of the greatest quarterback performances of all time. It's not his fault, George, that the coach was a moron and did what he did in the last 13 seconds of that game. It's not his fault he never saw the ball again. I don't even think it was his fault last year when they lost the game at home to the Chiefs in Buffalo. He played well in that game too. He is not the reason that they have had some of the losses. What he was the one game I'll say in the playoffs, and I don't count the first one as his first playoff game against Houston. He obviously went berserk in that game, was throwing the ball over the place, over behind his tackle. That was nuts. That was when he was still a very raw player who was still kind of flying by the seat of his pants. The Cincinnati one a few years ago in the snow, he was awful in that game. But for the most part, George, he's been very good in the playoffs. Hasn't been his fault.
The bottom line is this. If you're starting an NFL team today, Patrick Mahomes, okay. And then it's probably Josh Allen. I mean, people can say whatever they want. You want Josh Allen on your team. I think the guy's a winner. I think he's a good face of a franchise. He doesn't have, he's not Aaron Rodgers who does weird things. As far as says weird things and, does one thing, says another here. I mean, he's the kind of guy you can build around here or represent your franchise and he's not going to embarrass you. And plus, he's an excellent quarterback. What he's doing this year is, I did not see this coming to this degree. I thought losing Diggs would be a problem. Not because you lose Diggs, by the way, who I thought, you can make an argument addition by subtraction, with his issues. There's a reason why Minnesota couldn't wait to get rid of him as well. Let's not forget that. But I thought they would, without another true number one, and you can argue they don't have a number 2 either. Letting Worthy go to Kansas City and not getting him, and I thought that was a mistake as well. But what he's doing, and you said he's spreading the ball around, and remember, Kincaid's not having the season we thought he would either. All right,
he's the guy getting targeted. He's the guy getting bottled up. He's the guy that defenses are keying on,
taking him away,
taking Kincaid away.
And Josh
Shakir's been good. Everybody's been
very good.
Shakir's been a find. Samuel, Coleman, he's just really just spreading it to the whole entire field.
Look forward to that
and
first
he has been
Buffalo Jets
absolutely
game.
for the
What was
first
that?
2 weeks been MVP.
Week 6.
Columbus Day night. Carver Lisi, we're back after this.
Football full circle.
Ramondre Stevenson and Hunter Henry are the two best weapons that we see the New England Patriots have. The only way this team is going to develop Drake May is if you surround them with competent weapons. They don't have to be stars, but just guys that can at least run off the secondary, right? We don't see that with this offense. Slow, methodical, and they basically have a base offense, almost like a high school team.
It's football full circle with Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
For anyone who's worried about back taxes, has not filed tax returns, and doesn't know what to do next, stop and listen. Not filing your taxes can have severe consequences, especially in this political climate. Now that COVID is over, the IRS is getting aggressive, massively increasing enforcement and collection efforts. With politicians making all sorts of promises, especially when it comes to taxes, hiding and not dealing with your taxes will cause you harsh legal and financial ramifications. But right now, the IRS offers forgiveness and writes off a massive amount of tax debt. The Tax Doctor offers a free service that helps people get out of IRS collections and back in good standing with the government. Don't hide or bury your head in the sand. Take advantage of our free service. Call now to learn more. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. That's 800-816-4492.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Grady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Fall is almost here. It's time to stow the lawnmower and get ready for all that glorious action coming your way. Stay tuned to SportsGrid for all the strategies, angles, and info you need to get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
And we're back. Carver Lisi, SportsGrid Radio. Sirius XM 159. That's George's favorite rejoin. A little holiday road. Get us going back from the break. Mike Carver with you, of course. George Kurtz in for Joe, as he'll be back tomorrow. We're watching some of this baseball, and we're getting ready for Week 4 in the NFL. Cowboys will start Week 4 at MetLife against the Giants. So second week in a row, MetLife has the Thursday night game opener. The Jets, of course, took care of business against the Pats last week. Now the Giants off their first win of the season, which I found a way, George. You know, you want to make Daniel Jones look good again? Give him a stud wide receiver. That makes a lot of guys look better, or shall we say, more palatable to the fan base and to everybody else. When you have a guy who you can throw 30 targets at over a 2-week span, and he's got 20 catches, 3 touchdowns, he's been absolutely. Still don't know, George, how Neighbors caught the first one. That was like that Jones threw like 10 feet over his head, and he still was able to bring it down and make the grab. But the Giants 1-2 against the Cowboy team that, unfortunately, George, I told you last week I was on them. I thought the Cowboys would have a better performance at home against the Ravens. They got their teeth kicked in for 3 quarters and then teased everybody in the fourth quarter with that little comeback. Now they go on the road to MetLife. And last year, George, I know that's last year. Last year's last year. 40-0 and 49-17, right, George? Were those the 2 scores last year in the Cowboy-Giant game? So they outscored them 89-17 over 2 games. You expect more of the same on Thursday night, George?
I mean, the Maras don't own the Giants. Dak Prescott pretty much owns the Giants, right? The team he's generally destroyed, all right? The Cowboys have won 6 of the last 8 games at MetLife. They lost during the COVID season. I think it was the last game of the season. Game didn't mean anything, and they lost in 2016. A game that was 10-7, which I don't remember. That's a pretty bad game. Cowboys have beat the Giants 13 of the last 14 times, period. Everything points to it's the Cowboys. I'll tell you this. If Dallas does not beat the Giants Thursday night, I don't know if McCarthy makes it home. All right? I just don't know anymore. Like I said, this is a team they generally beat the hell out of. I mean, these are not close games. They're just barely beating them 21-20. You brought up the scores from last year. They generally beat the living crap out of this team. The team cannot protect Daniel Jones from Micah, from Lawrence as well. Lawrence has most career sacks against the Giants here. So everything points to Dallas. The spread has actually gone down a point to 5.5. Yeah, I'm on the Cowboys. All right, but do I feel great about it? Even against the Giants? No, don't. The Giants are going to try to establish that run, which is the right thing to do, but Singletary is not Kamara, and he's not Derrick Henry. That offensive line is also not the Saints' offensive line, not Baltimore's offensive line. There's no Lamar Jackson to worry about there. I don't know. Giants are banged up in the secondary here. Dallas will feed CeeDee Lamb, who had a god-awful game on Sunday. They will feed him big time. I will take every CeeDee Lamb prop. Yeah, I think he's going to have a big game. I think they win. I do. But you want me to guarantee or feel great as a Cowboy fan? I don't.
No, I don't think you can. Look, I think the Giants have obviously played well, or better, we should say, the last 2 weeks. But this kind of series history over the past few years, it starts to become, I really got to see it before I can bet on it. I have to see the Giants stay competitive in a game with the Cowboys before I can really feel that I can go out on a limb and bet them. I'll tell you what I do like in this game, though, George. I like the over at 45.5. I mean, I just gave it to you there. Cowboys got that once by themselves. The other time, almost, didn't get to 45. They won 40-0. The Giants didn't help them out. But the Cowboys certainly scored enough in both of those games to get this over. And I think the Giant offense, because of Neighbors, is better than last year's offense. And I think they're going to be able to score a couple of points. I like the over 45.5, George, if anything, in this game.
Agreed. I like it as well here. I don't think the Cowboys are going to shut down the Giants. I don't think they can shut down anybody. My only problem with the Giants would be if they get a little too sticky with, even if it's not working, when they keep running Singletary because they see what other teams can do. You don't have that kind of back. I don't think they'll run up and down on the Cowboys, which is also, by the way, good for our over because we don't want them to do that because we don't want the clock eaten up.
No.
Which is really what that does as well here. I think the Giants will be all right. I will also take a Daniel Jones at deception prop. Pretty sure he's going to throw at least one there if I had to guess to Trayvon Diggs. Although Diggs will not move, by the way. If you're thinking that Diggs is going to shadow Neighbors, he's not. He stays on the right side of that D, so Neighbors can avoid him.
Yes, he can. So that'll start us off Thursday night. A couple of these other ones. You know what? I'll stay at MetLife because the Jets are there on Sunday then, off of some extended rest after that winning against the Patriots. Broncos went into Tampa last week, got the upset win against the Buccaneers. Now they're on the road second week in a row, this time at the Jets, getting 7.5, 38.5 total. You believer after last week for the Broncos, or do you think 2 weeks in a row on the road is asking too much for them?
I think it's probably asking too much for them. I don't see them winning again. I mean, I was surprised they beat Tampa Bay. Maybe Tampa Bay thought they were, read their press clippings and thought they were that kind of team there. We knew that Surtain would probably shut down Evans, but we thought, hey, the running game will do some damage there, and Godwin will take care of the rest. It didn't really happen. Defense faltered there. The Tampa Bay does have a lot of injuries on defense. Maybe that helped Bo Nix as well here. I think going into MetLife against the Jets, and that defense is going to be a little different for him. All right? I don't think they're going to let him just sit there. Oh, my God. The Rangers are actually ahead. Unbelievable.
Are you kidding me?
6-4. That's not even 5. It's 6-4. Actually, nothing changes for the Islanders. Even
Wait
in
a second.
preseason,
Wait a second.
they can't hold leads.
I thought it was 4-1 or something like that a minute ago. What the hell happened in that game? Are you kidding me?
Nothing changed. This is why you bet against the Islanders when they are, or you bet on the other team when the Islanders are winning. They cannot hold leads. Doesn't matter when it is, playoffs, regular season, preseason. Islanders cannot hold a lead to save their lives. Doesn't matter who the coach is. It's almost humorous at this point. It just happens over and over again. 4-1 lead, which is what it was 10 minutes ago, by the way. Now it's 6-4.
You gotta be kidding me.
By the way, if this is a Tuesday night in a regular season, I'd be bouncing off the walls right now because this would annoy me to no end. But it is preseason. It is what it is. I'm going to like the job. By the way, I'm going to like the Jets this weekend. I think the Jets have maybe found their groove now. Maybe got a little lucky against Tennessee with Levis playing giveaway there. Found their groove against the New England Patriots, and I think Denver's another soft landing spot for them. I think it's going to be a 24-10, something like that. They got your final
I was
score
going to
here.
say I like the under. I like the under, George.
Yeah.
I think this is a game where I think the Jets will cover, but I'm not. It's kind of like with the Cowboys. I'm not really ready to go after it right now, but I feel pretty good about what you just said. 24-10, 20-10. 20, maybe it's around the cover number, 20-13. Maybe. I don't think this is a game where there's a lot of points. So under 38.5 for me. Who just hit that ball in the corner? Torres with a double here, George.
Torres,
so
who else? There's only Torres and Judge who can hit right now.
Torres, ground rule double bounces over the wall into the right field corner. So 4-2 with Soto and Judge coming up. Second and third, 2 outs. Now, what do you got to be, see, this is where, hitting Soto in front is, you got to be so careful here, right, George? You don't want to walk Soto and load the bases for Judge and have nowhere to put him. So they got to go after him.
They're gonna pitch to Soto. Yeah, they're gonna go after him.
They got to go after him. He's been in a slump, but they got no choice. They have to go after him here.
Here's Yankeeography right here.
It'll be on his, it'll probably be on his Yankeeography if he hits one out. Mets lost, by the way. That's a final in that game in Atlanta. So the Mets lose the first game, and that means that Atlanta's now what, George? One back of them, right? That puts them one back.
But they lose the tiebreaker. Atlanta, I think they'll lose the tiebreaker. I guess if they sweep, they wouldn't anymore. Coming into the series, they were losing with tiebreaker.
Now, of course, we have Arizona playing tonight as well. So we'll see if Arizona's got a game ahead because they played yesterday and they're off on Thursday, Arizona. So that's but Friday's when everybody will be lined up again until the Mets and the Braves get rained out. Carver Lisi, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM 159. We're back after this.
The boys of summer become the champions of fall.
The World Series is on its way.
And SportsGrid brings you every angle. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
In 1969, the New York Mets clinched the NL East pennant.
Ground ball hit the shortstop. Harrelson to right. There's one. First base, double play. The Mets win.
Then go on to beat the Baltimore Orioles in the World Series. Hall of Fame pitcher Tom Seaver.
It's the kind of thing that happens to other people. It doesn't happen to you. And then it does happen, and it's like you're living a dream.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Lehigh University scientists have discovered that Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise, in addition to being a delicious sandwich topping, may hold the key to unlocking the secrets of nuclear fusion. Fusion on Earth means superheating hydrogen isotopes to millions of degrees centigrade, hotter than the core of the sun, which turns it into plasma, a soup of positive nuclei and free electrons. Hydraulically whipping a giant vat of Hellmann's mayonnaise turns it into a material that simulates exactly the physical and elastic properties of hot plasma at low temperatures without any of the bad side effects. And later makes for a delicious lunch. Follow me at G Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Carver and Lisi.
Not only that, but what happened? I heard Roy from Nebraska wanted to call in last night.
I'm not sure what that is.
I'm Roy
from
Nebraska.
What does it matter if I know it's you?
Because then you prepare yourself. When you think it's Roy from Nebraska.
Prepare myself.
Yeah.
Prepare myself for what?
For the wrath that I'm going to club you with.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Weekdays 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
No way football is played in the fall and winter.
Because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
And we're back. Carver and Lisi, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM 159, here with you. So, George, we were going to break, and Soto was coming up with second and third and 2 out for the Yankees. He got a hit, George, but I don't know what they were doing on the bases. 1 run scored to make it 4-3. They held Torres at third, and then they throw down to second to get Soto going to second, and the Torres break for home? What the hell was he doing on third base? If he was held, George, why wasn't he standing on third during that whole nonsense?
You said it correctly. That's what they did, right? The third base coach held Torres, which probably is the right thing to do with Judge up next, but he would have been safe as the throw was offline. And then when Soto going to second, the catcher threw down to second, and Torres, I think, thought he could make it, then saw that the throw was good, and then it was just a mess. Just a quagmire, and Torres was thrown out. So you took the bat out of Judge. Well, they would have walked Judge anyway, by the way. Judge wouldn't have batted anyway.
Well, I was just going to say to you, Soto should have never went to second anyway, because it takes the bat out of Judge's hands.
You really can't say that. That's the winning run.
The bat out of his hands.
It's the winning run that gets down to second base.
They're guys on base.
They might pitch around Judge anyway.
Guys on base.
Yeah, they might have pitched around him anyway. I don't kill him for that. And it's instinct to do that. I was more worried that he was going to get thrown out, because a good throw might have had him at second base anyway. The throw was high, which I think is what Torres was trying to read. They're just frustrating, though. You can't take the bat out of Judge's hand where he never gets up at all now. Right? We don't even know what Schneider would have done. Awful.
Unbelievable. It really is. All right, George, let me give you a few more here before we get out of here this hour. I think the Viking-Packer game's hard right now because you don't know what's going on with Love. Now, the line, it says like he's playing, right, George? It wouldn't be Packers -2.5 if it was Malik Willis. Not that Willis has done, he's obviously 2-0, but the Vikings are 3-0, and they've been super impressive. And Darnold, I guess, has a little something with his knee. But I think that game, George, is very hard right now until you know later in the week what the deal is with Jordan Love for that. Are you buying the 3-0 Steeler team as they head to Indianapolis, 1.5-point road favorite?
I mean, they're winning games. All right, you want me to tell you they're a great team? No. Do I think they're going to still struggle to make the playoffs? Yeah, but Tomlin's the best head coach in football, and he wills his team to win. Although why he keeps insisting that Russell Wilson's going to get a shot at the starting job is beyond me. You've won 3 straight with Fields when you're not a good team. All right, he's your starting quarterback there. It's Indianapolis, and Richardson has been bad. I think I told you this before the season started, Mike, that, if not for the fact that, he started 5 games last year and he had some promise there, he looked awful in preseason. He looks awful now. All right, so he still has a lot of things to figure out here. It's going to be another close game here. Like I said, 20-17, low scoring. Don't make mistakes here. They did say today that Najee Harris is likely to play, so you're not worried about that. But Heisman is not, so they lose a little pass pressure there with them. I want to say I like the Colts, but truth is, I'm probably not going to do anything with this game. But I probably lean towards the Colts and the under.
Colton Cowser hits one like 25 rows up in the right field bleachers.
Monster shot.
So
I don't need to worry about Judge next inning. Fantastic.
Yeah, now you can pitch to him. That's for sure. You got no problems there now. So 5-3. Let me tell you, George, we've seen a lot of homers in that place since they opened it. You don't see many up there where that guy just hit that. That is an absolute rocket where that one landed. That's for sure. Rams off a win at home against the Niners, comeback fashion. Again, phenomenal coaching job by McVay, and Stafford played great too. Go to Chicago. Bears are 1-2. Offense has looked bad all 3 weeks. Bears -2.5. 40.5 total. Weird. What do you think about that, George? Bears -2.5 against the Rams.
I still have no idea how the Rams won that game. Shanahan screwed that up. They had a chance to put that game away, and they did not. Now, McVay's already said that Cup is not playing this week, for those who are wondering. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't. I'm going to assume that Keenan Allen maybe gets back in this game, so we'll either wait on that as well. I'm going to take the points. That's the bottom line here. I'm going to take the points till the Bears show me something that they're ready to play. I don't love it. It would not be anything big here, but I'll take the points in this contest. And what's the over-under here? 40 and a half?
40 and a
That's
half.
about right. I'm sort of leaning under in this game as well. It's going to be another sort of a boring weekend here.
Yeah, that is kind of what it feels like, right? I think that it is going to be it's an under game for me. The line's a little fishy to me, honestly.
Bet Kyron anytime touchdown. Certainly go with that.
Yeah, that's probably good. Eagles are 2.5-point road favorites in Tampa against the Bucks with a 44.5. Obviously, they lost to the Bucks in the playoffs last year. You saw what you saw. Barkley's been great for them, George. Without Barkley, they don't have their 2 wins right now.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite memes I've seen is from the old movie Airplane, when the one woman was hysterical and everyone's lining up behind it with a gun, a bat, a wrench, and they're going to beat the crap out of her. Instead of the people, they show teams that all want to beat up the Giants for letting Barkley get to Philadelphia, which is so true. How do you let that happen there? He's been fantastic. Now we don't know what's going on with the Eagles, right? I mean, AJ Brown, is he going to play? Devonta Smith, is he going to play?
So.
I don't think either one plays, but I'm not touching this game until I find out more about that, which is sort of a shame because Tampa is sort of beat up in that secondary. I mean, Hurts and those guys got a big game if they can get in there, but until I find out who's playing and who's not playing, I would assume Barkley's going to have they're going to feed him the ball, whether it's catching the ball or running the ball over and over in this game.
The Niners, we'll come back and we'll talk about the Niners who you talk about injury problems. It just got worse and worse for them. Purdy now with the back. Hargrave's finished. I mean, McCaffrey's going to Germany. I guess we're never going to see him this year. Christian McCaffrey at this point. They got the Pats at home on Sunday. Carver and Lisi, Sports Grid Radio, 844-843-6879. We're back after this. Yeah, and we're back. Carver and Lisi, Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM 159. Quickly here, George. So we told you 5-3 with the Yankees now, and Judge hit one all the way to the wall, didn't go out. Elsewhere of significance, the Royals and the Nationals are in the top of the 10th, scoreless, with Tommy Pham up here. So the Royals, as we know, the Tigers have already won today. The Twins are losing 4-1 in the top of the 8th at home to the Fish. This would be big for the Royals if they could somehow scratch some runs across here and actually get this victory and put themselves in some better position. Seattle is also right now, George. They're actually now down. Jason Hayward hit a big 2-run homer. Man, he's hit a bunch of big homers for the Astros. I'm telling you, George, that's going to be the guy in October. You watch. Jason Hayward's going to hit a couple of huge home runs for the Astros, probably against the Yankees. And they're going to absolutely kill them. So 4-3 Astros lead there. On the National League side, the Diamondbacks are underway. Top of the second, they're scoreless. Braves have already beaten the Mets. Padres and Dodgers start in about 15 minutes there. The Jays and the Red Sox are also tied, but that game, George, as we know, insignificant to everyone. Unless you have, I think both are around the win total, right? Unless you got some season-long win total action on the Red Sox and the Jays, then that game is very significant to you. Niners, George, I was saying to you before the break, tons of injury concerns, and they are a 10-point favorite at home against the Patriots on Sunday, who we finally saw be the team we thought they were going to be Thursday night. Tight games the first 2 weeks, ball control, running the ball. They got down a few scores Thursday, and they just couldn't do absolutely anything after that. We have seen big spreads be a problem so far, George. In fact, the three biggest spreads in the first 3 weeks, the biggest spread each week has lost outright, George. Outright. They've lost twice Cincinnati. Of course, this past Monday against Washington, week 1 against the Pats. So this is the biggest spread we've seen so far this year. -10. You laying it, George?
No, I don't think I'll lay it. You mentioned Purdy's got the back. Christian McCaffrey is, milk carton. Lord knows when we'll see him again. I don't think Debo plays here. Ayuk is still not Ayuk yet. I mean, what are we hoping for here? I think it's a game where San Fran will be very happy to win, and, fine, let's win and get out. I'll worry about week 5 here. My problem is this. This could be a 17-3 game, and they do cover it. I think it's an under, by the way. That's probably my favorite play in the game is an under here. I don't know what New England can do. All right, Brissett is getting the snot beat out of him, which I think might be the number one reason why May is not starting yet. So I'm going to take the under. I'll probably leave the game itself alone here because I do think they could cover it because I don't know New England score more than 10 points. That's my biggest worry here. That could be sort of like that Thursday night game against the Jets. What was that, 24-3? This could be another one like that.
The Royals have broken through in Washington on a very, very strange play. So Witt was up. I think he hit a ground ball here, Georgia. You're a little ahead of me, I know, on all your TVs. Could you show me a replay here? I know
this
the
is
ball
just an error.
first.
He hit a slow two-hopper, and then the shortstop bounced it. He bounced at the first base and got by him.
And that allowed the runner at second to come home. He double-clutched it, too. Bounced it. Run comes around to score from second. So 1-0 for the Royals in the 10th in D.C. against the Nats for that one. Let me see, George. But I only got like 30 seconds, George. Is there anything that really has stuck out to you that I didn't get to you yet? Is there any game you really love this week, George, on the card?
Well, as far as points go, going to be scored. You got to think Washington and Arizona, right? There'll be points in that game, 50 and a half. Arizona, I thought that in the Arizona-Detroit game last week as well, right? We didn't get it. With the 2013 final here. So I think Washington can't cover anybody. They just can't. We saw Jamar Chase with a huge game. I think Harrison will have a big game again. Kyler Murray will eat in this game. I'm not saying Arizona's going to win the game. Matter of fact, I might just take the 3.5. But, Washington traveling to that desert after a Monday night game, maybe a little bit of a letdown here. So
third road game in 4 weeks. Third road game in 4 weeks for them also. I think there's definitely some stuff that kind of leans to the Arizona side for me. Can they punt this week, George? They haven't punted the last 2 weeks, Washington.
Yeah, I'll take the over a half on a punt.
Take the over
I'm
on the
gonna
punt.
take the over. But it won't be a lot.
George,
Arizona has a great defense either. It won't be a lot. And remember, 2 Monday night games again.
I know. Tremendous job, George. We'll see you next Tuesday here. We'll be back tomorrow. Of course, me and Joe. Great job by Matthias Propel. Carver and Lisi, Sports Grid Radio. Have a great night. Cash some tickets. See you tomorrow.